The news is regarding SAVE, where the government initiated that, linking people's immigration status to social security number. I think it is great intention. It is part of the effort of Doge, but there's going to be so many unintended consequences, and I want to talk about that right now. Linking your immigration status to social security number, allowing local, state, county, federal agencies to check whether or not somebody is a citizen of the United States, allowing them to get certain licenses and voting is great. But I don't know if it will solve all the problems, because it actually opens up more problems. And with USCIS launching that today, I was reading through it and there's so many questions that I have. So I just want to talk a little bit about that, right? Most people probably don't know. Local, state, county, government offices, whichever agency, if they want to find out somebody is eligible to get a certain benefit, whether or not they are citizens, they have to ask USCIS. They are the ones issuing you these naturalization benefits. These government agencies, when they ask USCIS, there's two things that most people don't know. One, USCIS bills these agencies. And two, just like how delayed USCIS responds to normal applicants, beneficiaries, lawyers, they are super delayed in responding to local government officials as well, to the point where they're constantly trying to expedite, and USCIS responds by saying, you already submitted an inquiry, you have to wait. That is the current state of America. And you might say, that is terrible. We need a better system. So linking it with Social Security makes so much more sense. Do you know how prevalent identity theft is, where your Social Security number might be linked to somebody else, and how often Social Security numbers are purchased? So let's talk about this, right? I've done enough background checks for people where when I pull somebody's record, there might be 2, 3, 4 different Social Security numbers tied to this one individual, okay? So, your Social Security number is probably in some data bank with different credit card agencies. They get hacked, and now other people have your number, and then it's on the black market. It's terrible, but it happens. And it is nearly impossible to change your Social Security number. And so there are plenty of people who have Social Security numbers who are not theirs. And so now, if you are applying for any sort of benefit and they're checking your Social Security number, well, what if somebody else already has it? That is scary, for one. Two, what if your Social Security number isn't updated? You might be saying, wait, what do you mean? Well, you are assuming when you are a U.S. citizen, your Social Security number is definitely tied to being a U.S. citizen. But that's not what most people are. Most people, well, I wouldn't say most people, but in the immigration world, people don't just directly start out as being a citizen. Most people start as a non-immigrant, as an alien. Maybe you're a student visa holder who you're working part-time at the cafeteria, you're cleaning toilets, you're doing something for the school, so you have CPT, you have OPT, you're working as an international student. You have a Social Security number, but you can only work for the school. And then you graduate. Congratulations, you get selected for the H-1B. Now, your Social Security number gets upgraded to a work visa, so now you can work. But you're not a lawful permanent resident and you're not a citizen. And then eventually, after 5 years, you apply for citizenship and you become a citizen. Now your Social Security number should be linked to your citizenship. But who's updating that? USCIS, the United States Immigration Services, they have a separate number. It's called the alien number, the A number. That continuously stick with you, just like a Social Security number, except that number matches your immigrant status. Your Social Security number is obviously related with the IRS about your tax filings. But your Social Security number and the alien number don't necessarily match all the time. So here's the complicated situation. What the government has officially launched with this SAVE program is linking your Social Security number with your alien number, and it's supposed to match. But if somebody has your Social Security number, that might cause problems. If your immigration status is not updated and is not linked with their Social Security, then that might be a problem, right? Maybe you are a citizen, but in the Social Security data bank, in this SAVE program, you're still a green card holder, or you're still an alien. Well, then you can't vote because your Social Security indicated otherwise. Now you might say, that's fine. Now the system will correct itself. People will go and find out there's something wrong, and then now they will get things corrected. Couldn't they just stick with the old system? Because the old system was that if government agencies want to find out if somebody has legal status, they could contact USCIS. Sure, the wait time is long, and sure, the government has to pay. And now with this new system, local governments don't have to pay, and they can file multiple inquiries. That's just really kicking the bucket down, isn't it? Because you could have just said, okay, well, we waive the fee and we will expedite it with USCIS, and that will be clear, and that will be, almost flawless, other than the time it will take. Well, now you put it into this automatic data bank, and anybody can access it. But what if it's the wrong information that you're accessing? Or you can access it without pay, but again, it's the wrong information you're accessing. Somebody still needs to correct the data bank. Who's going to do it? It's not on USCIS. Well, then is it going to be on Social Security? If Social Security office personnel, they're already backed up and they're not going to correct it, then guess what? Individuals who have the right to do something now, when they're applying for certain licenses and benefit, because the government agency is using your social security number to check your immigrant status, and that data bank is incorrect, and they don't have the time or personnel to review it, to update it, then suddenly your benefit, your right to vote, is now somehow going to be denied. That is the unintended consequence that I see from this initiative. It might be a temporary thing. It might eventually be solved. It is a good intention. I applaud it. But is it more smoke than fire? Couldn't USCIS just provide this system, and allow government agencies to ask without charging? Couldn't they just do it faster? Instead of cutting the budget on USCIS side, why create a brand new system to solve this problem, as opposed to just fixing it within USCIS, right? Your alien number is supposed to be tied with your immigrant status. So with all that being said, the government is trying to do a good job, but the reality of fake social security numbers being out there, of social security numbers not exactly matching your alien progression with your work authorization, with your immigration status, those are things that I worry about this initiative failing. And in this case, what if many US citizens who are trying to access certain benefits are getting denied and nobody is there to fix it? That would be terrible. What if a lot of people who are illegal, who don't have alien numbers connected to proving their citizenship, but they have social security numbers, and their social security numbers that they illegally bought at the black market is linked to a US citizen, and suddenly this initiative that is supposed to prevent illegal people from voting suddenly actually makes it easier for illegal people to vote. I don't know. This is not a conspiracy theory. I'm just pointing out how this initiative, with a good intention, might actually backfire. Again, I've been in this field. I've been seeing how Social Security and alien numbers and how people live in this country, and so these are things that I'm pointing out. If we see any news updates on it, we'll share more. But it just totally popped in my mailbox because this initiative is just being rolled out right now. Government agencies all over have to apply, have to be registered, and then eventually they can start using this program. So I don't foresee this happening within the next month, but if government agencies across the U.S. start utilizing this, I hope that the Social Security office will have the personnel to back this and to correct anything that's incorrect. And in my experience, when you're trying to correct anything with Social Security, it's a process just as long, if not longer, than trying to correct it with USCIS.